What's up, dudes? My name's Avery, you can call me Mochi, and this watch is a little bit behind. It says 11:59, but it's a little slow, so that means it's past midnight, which means today is the day I leave for Bicolline. Yeah, that's a thing that happened. Before we get into the nitty-gritty details of the best week of my life, I do have a few things to say first. First of all, in the description there's going to be a link to my Ko-fi page, and I would really encourage you to donate if you want to see more crazy videos like this, because I want to show you all how versatile and fun and engaging LARP can be by going to all these different events and showing them to you. I have a couple plans if I am able to scrape the money together. I want to go to Damarung. I want to do Inside Avernus if it runs again. They rented a cave system. How do you rent a cave system? And I really want to go back to Bicolline. But those are all things that require money, and I am an art student. So yeah, if you want to see more of my crazy adventures, consider clicking that link. I would really appreciate it, you guys. It would mean the world to me, just because I love you so much and I want to keep giving you quality content like this. I mean, I hope it's quality. Second, I want to give a huge shout out to everybody who helped make this journey possible. First of all, I want to give a shout out to Jordan and Lauren for organizing all of this and sending me on the Voyage North. I'm still kind of in denial that that happened. I also want to thank everybody who shared their footage and pictures with me, cause y'all rule, cause I'm a dingus who likes to have too much fun and not film. And thank you to all of the thousands upon thousands of people who came to the Grande Bataille for making it the most amazing experience probably of my life. We'll see how that statement holds up in 20 years. You know. Lastly, if you want to go on your own Voyage North, just follow the website. I'm gonna put it at the bottom of the screen here. Trust me, you want to. You really want to. Just go to that link and then fill out the application. And I know, application is a scary word. But Jordan and Lauren are too nice to turn anybody away. They just want to gauge like your interest and like your comfort level with the kind of thing that Bicolline is, because I will tell you right now, it's intense and mind-blowing and all of that stuff. I'm still not completely over it, and it's been a week since I got back. And hey, if you go fill out that application, tell them you heard it from Mochi, because that will make it easier for me to go back. I want to make videos about other guilds, because everything on the internet right now is Ordo. And I want to make one about the March Wardens, I want to make one about Twilight Dawn. I want to show you all of Bico, not just Ordo. And that means I have to go back. So if you tell them Mochi sent you, it'll get you more content. And now I guess I have to get my thoughts together and start talking about Bico. It's kind of crazy. This is the entire reason I started my channel, and I actually finally did it. That is so crazy. Good morning, everybody. It's Sunday, August, what is it, 12th? Oh. It's something.
It is a day that exists.
It is a day that exists. This is Mark.
Hello.
And this is Jason.
Heyo.
They have graciously allowed me to sleep on their hotel floor tonight.
You're welcome.
And now, we're gonna go to Bico.
Yeah, I went like 3 hours ago.
I don't care, I'm hype! Alright, so we have gone to Artisans du Jour, and I replaced my garb. Why? I replaced my garb because my bag got lost at the airport. It's in New Jersey, but I can't get a hold of a real person to tell them it's in New Jersey. David, what'd you get?
Is Canada real?
Oh my god! What the hell? We're here! How do you feel, Colin?
My heart is going so fast.
How do you feel, Noah?
Actually, here, I'm not ripped off.
You're not ripped off. We haven't been getting scammed. This is a real place. Clyde, how do you feel?
I don't know. I don't know what to do.
I don't know either.
I believe the words for how I feel right now are impossibly.
Oh my god, there's horses! Look, there's the sign! There's the sign!
There's the sign.
So Bicolline itself is an actual functioning medieval village in Shawinigan, Quebec. They have campaigns throughout the year, but every year in August they all get together, 4,000 people, 4,000 people, and they fight what's called the Grande Bataille, or the Grand Battle.
Can you believe we're actually here?
It's kind of hard to believe at times, but
But look, there's a building, and there's another building, and there's a church thing, and there's a bulletin board with, is that runes? There's runes on it. Oh look, it's like right there.
Really?
Yeah, there it is. I mean, that green and beige building, I mean, we're green and beige, right?
After this, I want to explore.
Me too.
Welcome to Stag Alley.
Oh my god. Are you serious?
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
Wait to see you.
This is nothing? Oh my god.
Alright, need a tanker. Come here a second.
Dude. Are we even here right now?
Yeah.
Look, they got the
Hello, brother. Nice to meet you.
Also, talking about Bico being an actual functioning medieval village, it's absolutely enormous. Like, oh, you would not believe how big it is. Just when you thought you'd seen it all, you could walk down another path and see something you didn't even know was there. You didn't even know the trails to that place existed. Basically, they had two towns. They had a new town, which is where like all of the shops and things were.
Hey, it's a good look, David. You like that? Look at you. Here, look at the camera.
I'm so handsome.
Can I get a quote? Look at the hands.
I'm so handsome.
That's a good quote.
Yeah.
And then we had Old Town, which is where kind of the meat of the action took place. We had parties, we had poutine. Okay, come for the LARPing, stay for the poutine. This has been a public service announcement from the United States of America. Also cheese bread. Such good cheese bread.
Yo, this is the biggest loaf of bread I've ever seen in my life. Like, there's my hand for scale. Also, this is a cherry slushy. It's very good. Aryan, what are you drinking?
A yellow slushy mixed with ginger ale.
Fancy.
The way I like to think of it is Bicolline is basically a giant game of Risk. The virtual game informs why you're fighting, the battles you're fighting, and the resources your guild has to win that battle.
Alright, Kai, I need you to tell me what just happened.
Okay, so good news! Slavery is abolished in the Terre du Sud. I found that out as I was coming back from the latrine. Someone said, "Hey Kai, slavery's been abolished in the Terre du Sud," and I was like, "Oh!" And I looked down, sat on the table, and I was like, "Oh really? Right in front of my salad?"
I'm so proud of you, Kai.
I'm proud of myself.
So proud of you.
And then the physical game that you're playing, meaning like diplomacy, roleplay, marriages, all of that junk, that informs what happens in the virtual game, like alliances and things. And we did have marriages in this game. My friend Vigdis got married to a pirate.
So a guy just came up to us. Well, we just went up to a guy because we're like, hey, isn't that the guy that's getting married later today? Because they're having an in-game wedding. And we were like, yeah, that's the guy. And so Kai walks up and she's like, is one of you marrying my friend today? And he's like, yeah, it's me. And he just looks at me and goes, do you know what time my wedding is? And we're like,
No, but we will find out.
we will find out.
So they got to the wedding ceremony and the guy was like, okay, I need to show you all how I proposed to Vigdis. And we're like, what could go wrong? We shouldn't have asked.
Wanna marry me? Wanna marry me? I'm the sea. Build the sky. Oh, you're my girl. Oh, you're my girl. Oh, you're my love. Oh, you're my love. Wanna sit on my face? I'm gonna let you be. Let you be. I'm an open mind. I'm an open mind. Sweetie. He's a man of roll. Most famous of it all. He's a man of roll. Go fuck yourself. He's a man of roll. Most famous of it all. So famous. He's a man of roll. Yeah. So go fuck yourself. Most famous of it all.
the way I got to Bicolline is the way everybody on YouTube seems to have gotten to Bicolline, which is through the Voyage North. Basically, you just give them your money and your food, your tent, your cot, your ticket, any tournaments you want to enter, it's all paid for by the Voyage North. Before we went, we made a big old Facebook group of everybody that was going on the Voyage North, and we had a chance to talk to each other. We had a chance to introduce our characters, and you know, it feels like you're really forming these friendships so that when you get there, you don't have to do nearly as much work to catch up. You just kind of start playing the game, and that's it. And the people were so cool. They all came from different places. They all brought their own cultures.
I found a larp beard. You should go to his YouTube channel and watch his stuff. He's very good at what he does. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell if you want to get videos. Do all the things. He's a good dude.
We actually had a day where we just sat down and we called it a little cultural exchange. We had Twinkies, we had Tim Tams, we had TikToks, is that what they're called? And then somebody brought these candies. I don't know how to describe them.
So, we got a little cultural exchange going on here. As you can see, we have Tim Tams and whatever that is, and whatever these are. And we got a little sour candy here. Briar here is gonna try it. Oh no, wait, it says sabor, not sour. Goodness. I took Spanish in high school. Why is that so hard for me?
So wait, how sour is this candy?
Oh, it's not sour at all.
It's not sour. Okay, well, it's really mild. It concerns me that it was handed to me by Spooky Blues Jack. Out in order for me to eat it.
We're just having a good time here. That's all we're doing. I want to capture all of it.
You or me?
Don't you worry about nothing.
Well, hopefully both of us.
We have fun.
Everybody's having a fun time.
I'm pretty sure everybody who's been on with TVI doesn't have this.
Yeah, no.
You put it in your mouth and it was salty. Don't ask me why that qualifies as candy. I didn't finish. Apparently when you got through the salty bit, it got sweet, but why would you put yourself through that agony?
If it makes you feel any better, we all ate it too, so.
Every single one of you?
Yeah, we all did. Yeah, wash it down with a Tim Tam. Or a Spooky Booze. Spooky Booze. Give it up, Spooky Booze. Where do I go to purchase?
Sponsored by
Spooky
Look at the guy right next to
Spooky
you.
Booze.
And it was the coolest things to someone who has only left the States once before. So basically the Voyage North sponsors two guilds. You have the Order Survey, which is where like everybody on the internet goes, and then you have the March Wardens, and their allies, you know, we're good buddies, we fought in the battles together. Order was like, hey, over here, and March Wardens were like, sneaky beaky, you know how it goes. So I joined the Order Survey, but I that's not to say I shut myself out of the March Wardens. The March Wardens became my friends, as you will later see. So yeah, let's talk about the Order for a bit.
So as much as my brain tells me otherwise, I've made it to the Ordo camp. And oh my god. What is this? Oh my gosh. Holy. Hey Noah, you look snappy. You look very, very snappy.
Thanks.
Sean, you look snappy as well. This is Sean, everybody. He's quite lovely. All right. Look at that. Look at that.
Basically, it's just a big old melting pot of people who all come together from all different corners of the map, and a couple of us even from not on the map, to form this big, weird, often Fey-touched family. It's a very militaristic guild, so if you join the Order Survey, you will be participating in the battles, whether that's as a fighter, or handing out water to the fighters, or babysitting. There was a baby. The general and one of the commanders had a baby together, and she was so cute. Legs for the baby! And the Order Survey as a whole is broken down into houses depending on where you want to get your roleplay from. So House Venatorus is the combat house. They went out on all the skirmishes and guarded for the king and did all the, you know, punchy things. There's House Fletcher, which has been called the party house, but it was formed by our general with the philosophy that no one drinks alone. So if you have trouble making friends at Bico, join House Fletcher and you will not be disappointed at all. The House of Mysteries is the house that deals with like magic and religion, and it's headed by a pact mage, and I'm not sure what Catherine is. Is she a mage too? She might be a mage. mage. It might be headed by 2 pack mages. I'm not sure. House artisan is where all the crafters go. We had a girl that did henna. We had a girl that painted. We had a girl that made me earrings. They bounced out of my pouch during battle. I'm sorry. And then a new house for this year was House Cantus, which is where all of the bards went. Oh, I love House Cantus. I hung out too much with House Cantus. And then there was my house, House Bellis, which is the interpersonal roleplay house. So we got our roleplay from backstories and finding out things about each other through playing the game. And, you know, it was drama and I don't, words good. I am so sorry. I turned my camera back on just because I had 2 things to say. 1, Bellis was the meme house.
Oh my god! Oh my gosh, she on X Games mode!
Hey there, demons. It's me. Yeah, boy.
Yes. Are you going to finish that croissant?
This is Sparta!
What are those?
Basement area. Pretty awesome.
I could have dropped my croissant.
Show me your wall face!
It's Tuesday, my dudes.
You're a strong, independent woman who don't need no man.
I am a strong, independent.
Man.
Back at it again with a white van.
Hey guys, meme team.
Dream team. Oh.
No alcohol.
Oh no.
And our leader was the queen of my life, Lieutenant One Shot Kai. She got that nickname at the end of the event, and I'm so proud of her. And I actually got the opportunity to serve as a house second with so-called human shitpost, Ali O'Bragison. So yeah, I got to be in control of plot for some people, and that was so much fun. So the way Bellis has driven its roleplay in years past is through the use of cursed items. So basically, you have an item with a given effect, you give it to a person, and then the group as a whole would have to deal with it and like fix the problem or just deal with the curse. David, who plays Al, had this little bug. It was like a deep sea isopod, I think is what he called it. Anyway, he gave it to me, and I was like, oh, look at that, it's a deep sea isopod. He says, oh, by the way, this thing taps into your maternal instincts and you will not let this thing go for anybody. You will protect it with your life. And I'm like, David! But anyway, I passed him off eventually. We named him Shortfin because the person who had him most of the week was nicknamed Longfin. And actually, for a couple days, he made it out of the Bellis and into the general public. So, sorry, Adele. We also had something that was not a tarot deck. Sorry, Al. It's housing some sort of supernatural entity, and it kind of slowly revealed itself to him over time.
2 of Pentacles.
Hold.
What?
So as you hear Rook in your head, I'm not gonna tell you.
God damn it.
I'm not gonna tell you what he says because he's your creation.
Words-wise? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, words-wise, you decide what he says.
You give me the gist of it, though.
But he no longer. No, I mean, you could decide the gist of it. He no longer sounds like he's in your head. He sounds like he's in that seat right next to you.
Nice.
Continue.
Okay.
I actually headed up most of that plot, and I went from saying, okay, he sounds like he's in that seat next to you, to getting an actual guy who volunteered to NPC for us to follow him around and whisper demony things in his ear. I'm proud of myself for that one.
You are probably currently going through some struggles, or if we're talking about your past, you were probably dealing with some struggles.
What? Is something out there?
Oh, I heard a loud like cheer there. That I heard that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Get back to it.
But in my opinion, the best cursed item we found didn't actually come from within the Bellis. It came from the March Wardens. Alright, so let me teach you a lesson. All good Bicolline stories start with no shit, there I was. So no shit, there I was.
Hi guys, so before everybody wakes up and like things get into decorum, I need to tell you about last night because that was some shit. Actually, we're sitting in the tavern having like poutine because poutine is amazing and you should all eat it. But this guy comes up to us. He says, hey, my name's Kona. I keep calling him Kona. His name is Kono. Dang it. Okay, he comes up to us. He's like, hey, I'm Kono. We're like, hey, I'm insert names here. It was me, Kai, Arian, and who was the other guy? There was one more guy. Lucius. I'm too tired for this. Anyway, so he comes up to us, he's like, okay, so, yeah, hi, I'm part of the March Wardens. You guys are House Bellis, right? And we're like, yeah.
And he's like, so you guys deal with cursed items a lot? And we're like, yeah, because that's a thing. House Bellis is kind of known for dealing with cursed items. So he was like, okay, I got something I needed you to take a look at. So we're like, great. And so he leads us to the March Warden's camp. And he pulls out this little necklace wrapped in burlap. And basically what it is like, he tells us it's like a piece of petrified wood from, and like, I don't know the lore of Bico, but it's a piece of like petrified wood from before when the world was flooded in the March, I guess. I don't know anything, but he says, okay, so I have this. It's a family heirloom. And like, it's been passed down for like ever. And it's cursed. And we're like, okay, well, what is it? And he tells us what it is. And then we're like, okay, fine. But what about that makes you think it's cursed? And he tells us, well, the last person to own it went insane. And we're like, all right, yeah, that'll do it. And then this guy comes up. His name is Percy. He comes up and he's like, I want to touch it. And we're like, no. He's like, what do you give me if I touch it? And we're like, no. And then he's like, what'll happen if I touch it? And we're like, you'll basically become part of our experiment. Like, you're a lab rat at that point. Don't touch the thing. He touches the thing. Long story short, he's like, he's holding it out and he just touches the thing like real quick, like, dick. You know what I'm talking about? We're like, how do you feel? And he's like, I feel fine, I guess. So Kono looks at him, he's like, you know, I think now that you've touched it, I think you have to wear it. And we're like, what makes you think he has to wear it? And he's like, I don't know, it's a gut feeling. So Percy picks it up and puts it on. And then he just looks at us. And all he says is, I gotta go take a piss. But like, that's not really sitting right with me. So I go and I follow him into the woods, and like, if he actually needs to take a piss, I'm gonna like leave him alone. But like, he like walked into the woods, he starts walking slower and slower, more labored, and then he just passes out. And we're like, well, crap. Yeah, you know, we do all the things you might do, like, you know, can you hear us? Do you know who you are? La-di-di-da. And he's just sitting there laughing, and we're like, And then he goes for the dagger on his belt. He wants to stab this other guy that's by us. And I'm like, no, thank you. So the other guy, like, restrains him, and then he takes the dagger off him. And then he tries to go for the dagger on the other guy's belt, and we're like, no, thank you. So we take all the weapons out of the immediate vicinity, and we're like, do you know anybody who can, like, help with this? And we're like, I don't know anything. But, I guess the March Wardens have, like, what is it? They're Fae Witch, I guess she is. And she came and she was like, hey, just drink this elixir and he'll be fine. And we're like, okay, so I take the bottle and I pour some down his throat. The first thing he said, he woke up and he was, like, coughing and everything. He was, like, doing the serious shit, and he was doing the serious stuff, and then he just woke up and was like, what the?
I don't remember what I put it.
It was the funniest stuff I had ever seen, but also, because let me tell you something. I was talking with Kai afterwards, and she was like, no, the cursed items that Bellis deals with is like party tricks, like nothing this serious. And we're like, well, crap. Yeah, Lord only knows what today is gonna bring. We're gonna keep you updated on that. It's Monday here at Bicolline, and I am hype. That is all.
So I feel the need to let y'all know that I just died, and I'm gonna go ahead and let future me tell you about all of that, because I got a party to get to.
Hey there, future me here. I'm gonna tell you the rest of the story. So the next day comes around, Monday night, and we're like, okay, we're not touching this thing again, not with a 10-foot pole. And then Kona comes back to us like, hey, you know that necklace that almost killed Percy last night? You know how it still totally has a tree spirit inside of it? I want to talk to it. And we're like, why would you say that? And he's like, look, maybe we can reason with it, maybe we can get it to stop being malicious or whatever you want to call it. And we're like, you know what, fine. Let's just do this, let's just get it over with. So we came up with a plan. We got most of the Bellis in a circle, along with a couple of the March Wardens. They were all armed. I was not. I was in the middle of the circle, and I was the one that would be talking to this tree spirit thing. And Kono was like, okay, I'm gonna take it into me. You're gonna talk to him for me. And then, creepiest part of the, well, I say creepiest part of the night, I mean most ominous part of the night. Right before we left, he says, give me a second, I gotta go change. And he comes back, not in his normal kind of brown Viking-ish garb. He comes back in a white monk robe, complete with cowl and rope around his belt, and I'm like, yeah, okay, if it wasn't creepy before, it's creepy now. So we get deep into the woods. We start following the trail to the camps on the very edge of Old Town, and then we just keep going. We're using Lucius's Heartstone, which is like a thing that keeps his glamour going. We're using that as our light source. It's pitch dark out there, we can't see anything except from this light source. We're like, this can't go well. Like, there's no way this is gonna go well. And so then we get into our circle, and Kono starts having us chant something, and there's like multiple parts to it, and then like she starts doing some weird dancey thing, and I'm just watching all of this like, what do I do? And then finally he looks up, and I can just tell it's not him. And so I look up at him and I say, who are you? And he just looks at me with fear in his eyes and he says, I'm shattered. I ask him, do you know what you are? And he's like, I don't know. I don't know anything about what I am or who I am or where I came from. And basically he gave us this whole spiel about how he doesn't remember anything about his life. All he knows is that he is not whole. He is only a part of himself. And he wants to either become whole again or just like end it. And this is where it goes south. This is where my backstory comes in. I look at him, I put my hand on his shoulder, and I say, listen, honesty is very important in my family. If I say something, you can trust that it's the truth. If I say I'm going to do something, I'll follow through or pay you back for it. So you can trust me when I tell you that I promise to do whatever it takes to free you from this. He looks up at me and he says, you would have to take me into you and die a ritual death. And I'm just here like, I promised I would, let's go. So we start doing the chanting thing again, and it's just the two of us this time, because everybody in the background is just like, Iona, what are you doing? Iona, stop this right now. Eventually, he and I touch foreheads, and there's a moment that can't have been more than 20 or 30 seconds where we're both in our right minds. He just looks at me and says, what happened? What did you do? And I can't get the words out. Somebody else eventually gets it out, but he just looks at me with kind of this mixture of fear and sadness, and he just says, why did you do that? And that is where my in-game memory stops. Out of game, I remember the whole blessed thing. So basically this spirit starts to make me go insane. I'm like, every time people touch me, I'm like getting away, like, you know, like get away from me, you know what I'm talking about? And people keep trying to like put their hands on my shoulders, telling me to breathe, calm down. I'm like not having any of it. And eventually I'm on the ground, I've got my hands over my head like this. I feel something on my back, and I think it's a hand. But then I hear everybody freaking out in the background, and I look up at Colin, I'm like, dude, what did you just do? He goes, I just stabbed you in the back, and I go, oh. So yeah, I died. Basically I couldn't see anything from that point onward because, I mean, you know, my eyes were closed. But basically they were all like, oh, what do we do? What do we do? Noah told me about this later. He said one of my more militant guys, Cyrus, was kind of trying to keep everybody together, like, keep it together. We can't panic. We're gonna fix this. We have to not panic. And Noah was just sitting there with his hands on his head like this, just thinking, we shouldn't have done this. And honestly, that is the best reaction to this that I have heard. So basically, they're like, okay, what do we do? People res on the battlefield, people res in the monster pit. So we gotta get into one of those two things. They were gonna take me to the battlefield, but that would not have been a good idea because unbeknownst to us, there were zombies on the battlefield that night, so all of us would have died instead of just the one. It would have been fun. They get me to the monster pit, they lay me down, and I res. And everybody starts yelling at me for being so stupid. And I mean, they're not wrong, it was kind of a stupid move, but hey man, honesty is the best policy. And I made a promise. And I will not, no regrets. Anyway, and then we decided, okay, you know what? we gotta chill out. There's a concert going on. We're gonna have some booze. We're gonna go party. Let's forget this. But before we go, Kono takes me aside and he's like, hey, will you walk with me for a little bit? And I'm like, sure. And so he catches me up on what happened after the spirit took over, and then he gives me the necklace, and I'm like, dude, that's your family heirloom. Like, I'm not about to take this from you. And he just looks at me and he goes like, I think it's time to pass it on. And so, I have a tree spirit necklace now. All seriousness though, the guy who played Kono made this himself. Look at this, look at this. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? I'm gonna keep that for like ever. By the way, I feel the need to mention that this is not a guy who is like experienced with running plot for Bicolline. This is another first year March Warden. I'm blown away by how well that all went. So thank you, Ryan, for scaring the crap out of the Bellis. But we also had a good chunk of roleplay that wasn't driven by cursed items. We had a bunch of people join the King's Guard and actually stop an assassination attempt on King Rattan, the King of the South. So proud. We had people becoming assistants to the Duke of our guild. I think he's a Duke. He might be an Earl or a Count, or he's something. Biko people, what is pain? Help me, please. We guarded Fae rituals. A bunch of us actually became Fae. It was crazy awesome. I'm so proud of the Bellis this year. You guys all rule. Speaking of roleplay, let's talk about religions for a second. So last year, something called the Cult of the Sang started as kind of a joke when somebody took their shoe off during battle and drank sangria out of it. It's called a shoey, and it became a religious practice for them. You know, they got the Old Testament, which was worn in the battle, and they also have a New Testament, which is a shoe that has not been worn, so it's clean and things. And there may or may not be some joking subsects of it, too.
Aryan, what is a smooth boy?
It's me.
It's you.
Mm-hmm.
You're the smooth boy.
You cover yourself in clay that you find in the river, and you let it dry, and then you wash it off a few minutes later, and you are smooth as I've said all week, as fuck.
The Smooth Boys are responsible for ensuring that no shoey spills in the river.
Ah, okay.
That would be a tragedy. That no shoey is left in the river, left by the river.
Oh, Smooth Boys have the responsibility of bringing the shoe home when everyone else is too drunk.
Yeah, exactly. The parable of the Smooth Boy.
The parable.
There's a parable now.
There's a parable of the Smooth Boy. The first Smooth Boy was not a man,
but a fish.
But an otter.
An otter.
An otter.
An otter.
A wet boy.
Wow, you really ought to tell us more about it.
And there was a shoey that was poured out, but the man it was being poured out to was craven and not firm in his belief. So he ran from the shoey, the Old Testament.
Not firm.
And an otter came in. And an otter came. And in its speed had to slide through the clay of the bottom of the river to intercept the shoey so it would not be spilt. The holy sang would not be spilt into the river. And the otter did the shoey instead, ensuring that no shoey
shall be wasted.
Be wasted.
That is just utter nonsense.
It is not
No.
But this year, the Order Survey decided to spend the in-game resources to make the Cult of the Sang an actual religion. So it is no longer the Cult of the Sang. It's the Sang Saint-Père. I think that's right. What is French? It means blood without fear, but it's also a reference to sangria because, Sang. Praise the Sang. And this, coupled with some finagling by Count, Duke, Earl, Peter York, and his lovely assistant Skjall, it meant something pretty big for our battlefield this year.
Hi guys, so new development here. I'm a healer, I guess. I'm fighting with the skirmishers. We're doing our thing, albeit probably very badly because I don't combat good on a large scale. The captain of our army comes up to me and he's like, hey, you raised your hand earlier when you wanted to be healed, right? And then earlier we had done a thing where it's like, if anybody needs to pass off an hourglass because healers get tired, raise your hand. And I was like, yeah, what the heck, why not? And he was like, you raised your hand, right? And I was like, yeah. He was like, I'm passing this to you. And I was like, shush, okay. So for 2 hours I just healed people. And I didn't always do it perfectly, but I still did it. And at the end, I was like, hey, Captain, do you want me to give this back to you? And he was like, yeah, give it back to me at camp. So I get back to camp, and I was like, Captain, where would you like this? He says, in your hands. Okay.
You like that segue into talking about the combat at Pico? Me too, guys.
All right. So throughout the week I have gone from straight fighter to full-on war cleric with my mace and my holy symbol and my shield, and now I have a little something to recite for you, courtesy of Kai. The smooth boy descend on thee. The smooth boy stop thy spilling blood. The smooth boy mend thy bones. The smooth boy close thy wounds. The smooth boy restore thy vigor. The smooth boy hath healed thee.
Yes. Yes, a healer in our midst.
So the story surrounding why the Grande Bataille takes place is that people were tired of seeing soldiers go to war and die, leaving behind widows and orphans and all that junk, so they decided to use magic to create this giant dome over the Duché de Bicolline, which is just, the only reason I say it in French is because I can't pronounce the word in English. Is it Duchy? Duchy? Somebody help me. They cast a dome over it, and basically this magic dome means that, like, nobody can die. So that is where we go to fight all of our wars and decide the fates of our kingdoms. So there's always a scenario for the GB that goes on. In 2015 there was a comet, there was, like, crime versus justice, there's a bunch of different stuff. But this time, something of consequence happened in the virtual game that really informed what happened here. And that was that the Empire invaded the country of Argonne. And you know, the Ordo is not about that whole walking into somebody's kingdom and taking their stuff life, so we decided we were gonna help stop them.
Hey, a port town along the coast. Fuck you.
And we decided to stop them with our army, which I'm gonna talk about now. I'm not gonna segues. So the Order Survey has 3 separate military divisions, the first of which is the Archer Corps. They shoot things. It's kind of obvious.
Everybody look at this ranger over here. Everybody look at this ranger. Look at this ranger. Look at this man. Look at this man. You look good.
All seriousness though, the Order Survey was really the first guild to bring like a group of archers onto the field and really make them a formidable force. The second group is the skirmishers, and what they do is they basically run around with their unconventional weapons, you know, small shields, dual wielding, everything that's not a tower shield or a spear, runs around as a skirmisher trying to slow down shield walls and other people's spears. It's lots of running, it's super chaotic, it's totally awesome. I was a skirmisher for the first battle, and I failed miserably. And then there's the third category, which is the heavy infantry, which is the tower shields and spears. I ran around with the heavy infantry most of the time, healing for Duke, Earl, Count, Payne's unit. And I will say this, if you've never been on a battlefield with 1,000 people on your side, with drums and yelling and combat in the distance, it's chaotic, it's also organized in a weird way, but until you've done that, I don't think you've lived. So I have a couple good stories about the battlefield. One of them was me, but only one of them because I'm a healer. I don't get many good no shit there I was stories. So no shit there I was, during the Grande Bataille, I am on the right side of the fort that they have. There is a fort. It's a big fort. It's a big fort. I'm on the right side of it, kind of near a little opening where soldiers can come in. And I'm just healing people. I don't even notice what's going on around me at that point. So all healers have those hourglass thingies, and you have to wait for that hourglass to completely go down before somebody's healed. So I am right next to my Bellis Archer Lucius. I've got my hand on his shoulder, I'm watching my hourglass, it's about halfway done. And then I look around and I notice nobody is around me. And then I look through that door and there is a ballista poking through it. And for those of you who don't know, if you get hit by a ballista round, it's an instant kill. That thing could clip the very end of my curl and I'd be dead. So I'm looking at this, I'm looking at Lucius, I'm looking at my hourglass, it's about halfway done, so either I gotta wait for this thing to reset and that healing was for nothing, or I gotta finish healing and risk getting shot by a ballista and it might die anyway, and I'm just like, what do I do? And in a moment of pure insanity, I just look at Lucius and I say, Lucius, hit the deck! And he says, hit the deck, and I'm like, yes, hit the deck! So we hit the deck, and the ballista shoots right over us, and our army continues to be awesome, and we didn't die. So that's my story. The other story I have belongs to one of the Scots of Bicolline. His name is Dingwall, and he is awesome. So in case you don't know, monsters are a thing that exist at Bicolline. One monster in particular is owned by a guild called Ragnarok, and it's basically a 7 or 8 foot tall giant white wolf. It's got a shield, it's got a sword, that thing is scary, okay? So Dingwall is out with the skirmishers and he realizes he doesn't have any of his troops by him, and then he sees the Ragnarok shield wall coming at him along with the white wolf, and he's just here like, I can't beat that, I can't beat that. He points at the white wolf, he goes, you. I want you. And Ragnarok just starts laughing at him. They're like, you're gonna take down the White Wolf? Because for those of you who don't know, monsters are also one-shot kills. Even if you block their weapon with yours, you die. They're like, you're gonna take down the White Wolf? You know what, fine, go ahead, try it. And so Dingwall's there with his claymore, just staring up at this White Wolf. He gets 2 hits in out of 10 on the monster's torso. And then he sees the sword coming down at him. He's like, I gotta do something. He throws the claymore to block the shot. And I mean, he wasn't touching it, so he blocked it without taking the damage. And then, just when you thought it couldn't get any crazier, he pulled a knife from his back and got the other 8 shots on the monster's torso. And that is the story of how Dingwall single-handedly took out the White Wolf of Ragnarok. He's so awesome.
I got this stuff on my face now.
What?
I feel ready to kill something. How do you feel, Al?
Oh my god, I thought you were supposed to be ready to heal something. How do you have that much pain?
I can kill something if I need to. Look at me.
So, the little fun fact is that Ordo seems to always lose. Like, always. We go down in the blaze of glory. Like, if you've ever seen Rogue One, it's like that. We die, but we look totally boss while we're doing it. And it's a tragic story and all that, you know, fun stuff. But here's the deal. We didn't lose. For once in our lives. We won the Grand Bataille.
You guys! We just won our first ever battle! How do you feel, guys? Yeah! Woo! Yes! How do you feel, General?
We did it!
Yeah!
And I'll tell you what, whenever things like that got super intense, we were super happy, we were super defeated, it was super intense roleplay, there was one thing we always knew we could do to alleviate the stress. And that was party till the cows come home. There was concerts every night, there was readily available booze. I actually bought booze for the first time, because here's a fun fact, I'm a small bean, so I bought booze for the first time.
Okay, so a guy just came to the Ordo camp and he was selling this stuff, which, I mean, if you watch any of the more better LARP YouTubers than me, then you know that this is Spooky Booze Jack stuff.
Not much better.
Shut your mouth. This is as red as Hooker's lips, as made famous by Mama O'Brien. It's the first thing of alcohol I've ever purchased in my life because I'm a small bean, and I'm gonna try it. But I'm gonna try it slowly, because I don't know my limits. So, like, what do I have to do to open this?
Light the candle.
Okay, you got a lighter?
I did.
Lovely, so I just wait for that to melt and then... Okay, that's really cool. Oh, okay, so I can't read French, but I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna Google Translate the crap out of that. It's gonna be great. Everyone, I trust you met Ali O'Brien. Look at his fabulous mustache.
I mustache you a question. Would you like some alcohol now?
I would love some alcohol.
Alcohol.
Alrighty. Spooky Booze. Alright, here we go. Thumbs up.
Getting better.
That's really good.
May I?
You may.
Oh my gosh. POV. Spooky Booze.
POV Spooky Booze.
It tastes like coconut.
Right? Here's the deal though. It's supposed to be cranberry and strawberry. It's cranberry and strawberry.
No, you know what? I get that.
Yeah.
I get that.
So here's the deal. It doesn't taste like alcohol. So
that's the problem. That's a problem.
Yeah, that's a problem. I gotta be careful with that, especially considering I have never done this in my life. Who else wants some? Who got a tankard? I'll fill it up. Alright, so this is the Mexican stuff.
Grab a cup. I'm doing the archery tournament.
Oh, that's really good. That's really good.
Can Lucius try the Mexican?
Oh my god, look how blue that is.
It's like it's blue.
Look how blue that is.
Oh my god.
What in the world?
Everybody, I think we should cheers to Spooky Jack.
To Spooky Jack! Cheers, everybody!
They say that some of us will never be heroes here, but I think that's clearly a lie because we have one in our midst.
Heroes.
Oh, he's gotta get spooky first. He's gotta get spooky first.
We partied with the Pirates the night of Viggy's wedding. We also partied with the Oathsworn. And the Oathsworn are a guild of Vikings that offshot from the Ordo, and they came and they brought a Saga Man. And a Saga Man is basically like the guy that keeps all of the stories and songs of the group. And he came and he sang us a Viking drinking song in Norse, and then he told us a story of Asgard and the gods, and I was super into it. And then he let me tell a story, and I'll probably tell it for the camera at some point, but at this point the video is already long enough, so That's another video. But it was so cool that I got to actually tell a story to a Viking saga man and then party with them afterwards. It was... and can I just say, all of the Oathsworn people, y'all looked so on brand. Like, I was amazed how good you all looked. The Viking part of me was going absolutely nuts. It was beautiful. Actually, the night I died, we went to party to alleviate the stress of that roleplay. And we actually got into a dance battle with Twilight Dawn, which is the Fae Guild. And it was just, it was the best thing. It was the best thing.
Get him, Aryan! Get it! And they grill you with lemon pepper if you lose. I know, 170. If you lose.
The hair of golden starlight.
And of course, what sort of tourist would I be if I didn't bring back gifts? So obviously I have my little tree necklace here. I will be keeping that for as long as I can because, oh, that's a story. So David, the guy who plays Al, actually made these buttons, and I'm gonna keep that forever and ever too because love it. They also had an option to order this shirt before you got there. It is my Ordo Survey shirt, and yes, that's all I need to say. Also, I have this little Yggdrasil necklace. Basically, somebody was just sitting outside their tent with a table full of doodads and say, hey, these are free to the Ordo, and I was like, I want that. This used to be a necklace. It's not anymore because it broke during TSA things coming back. But this is just a little jar of fey glitter given to me by Aisling Falloway. We just call her Jingle or Jingleburb because she's the cutest, most adorable thing, and I love her so much, and I'm keeping this forever just because Jingles! I also got this keychain with the Bicolline logo on it, so I never forget where I came from. But the coolest thing I think I got at Bico was actually a gift from another member of the Bellis. Look at this! It's a full-on drinking horn. He actually gave it to me and warned me that I still have to finish cleaning it. Ah! Seriously though, if I go to Damarung, and I really want to go to Damarung, you can bet your bottom dollar I will be using this drinking horn, and also for many more Bicos to come. There are so many more things that I wish I could tell you about, but this video is probably long enough as it is, and so maybe I'll release an unedited version of this where I tell all of the stories and mention all of the things that I want to, but it is not this video, and it makes me sad. It was such a cool experience, that's all I can say. It's not something I can just tell you about, because I'll tell you what, going back and watching Bicolline videos from like 2015 when Momo Brian and Lark Girl started going back and watching those, it's an entirely different experience having been. I can look at a random shot of them in an alley and I can just be like, hey, that's where we used to get breakfast, or hey, that's where all of these things happened, and it's not something I can tell you about. You have to see it for yourself. I don't even know what else to say. It was absolutely amazing. Thank you to everybody that came. Oh my god.
Okay. What makes us related?
Loyalty to each family! With the bonds of the Bellis of Ross, please stand! And present yourselves to the representative of Iona K-Talk.
I'm Maeve.
Hi.
Ari and Arcos.
My name is Lyle Goldenhill.
Welcome.
Proceed.
Alan Holtsegalan. Cyrus Shadowheart.
Skell Ironborn.
And I think you guys already know me.
Okay.
I'm Al!
On behalf of King Rattan and myself, welcome to the herd, welcome to Ordo Survey, and welcome to Terre du Sud.